And welcome to today's Bible reading, everyone. I just realized that yesterday I cut the Bible reading short by one day. So I completely skipped, short by one chapter. So I completely skipped chapter 22. So we'll be doing that catching up today. Right. So without much ado, because there's lots of reading to be doing today, we'll just dive right in, and anyone joining the Zoom call, the Clubhouse call, feel free to raise your hand, to comment, to ask questions, to give your opinion, whatever things that come up for you. This is supposed to be the safe space where we can share and talk about, discuss anything with no censorship. All right. There are going to be certain topics which will be absolutely forbidden in here, right? But we will be finding those as we go. Censorship over ideas, obviously, is like, if we're not willing to look into something, then what's the point, right? So moving straight on with Genesis, starting in chapter 22 today, because yesterday I completely missed out on that one. Verse 1, and it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here am I. And God said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place far off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come to you again. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. Are you seeing a parallel here? And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. And they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of Jehovah called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram, caught in a thicket by his thorns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh. That is said to this day, that it is said to this day, in the mount of Jehovah it shall be seen. And the angel of Jehovah called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time and said, By myself have I sworn, saith Jehovah, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And it came to pass after these things that it was told to Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah, she hath also borne children unto thy brother Nahor. Huz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel the father of Aram, and Kezid, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jidlaph, and Bethuel. And Bethuel begat Rebekah. These 8 Milcah did bear to Nahor, Abraham's son, and his concubine, whose name was Reumah. She bare also Teba, and Gaham, and Tahash, and Maacah. So stopping here and going back to the top to see, as I'm reading from the King James Version on the Blue Letter Bible, which is a fabulous tool for you to be checking out all of the original meanings of the words in the Bible, and where they stem from, and get a better understanding of what was meant originally before the meanings got lost in translation. And that, once again, I say, holds true for every translation of the Bible from the originals. All of them are tainted. So it's not so much a question of which version of the Bible is the best, as much as how much personal research are you willing to do to discover the truth? And how ready are you to question everything you thought you knew of the Bible in whatever denomination it is you were born and raised? And even more than that, how much are you willing to recognize that only God is true, and all of us human beings here on earth, every single one of us is a liar, whether we do it on purpose, whether we do it by accident? We really need to lose this being so stuck up on our opinion until we have tested it and retested it and retested it. And every time that our voice becomes a little bit shaky, a little bit not so certain of what it is we're talking about, or every time you notice that someone who is preaching to you, they start having this kind of like, kind of attitudes about something, that's when you know that that is something that needs more research, both on your part, or else it's when you know that someone is kind of sort of trying to have you go along with them on that aspect, if they're like insisting on it or making excuses for it. What I love about the Bible is that it is the only book of religion, of history, in which the faults of the people are constantly being brought to the forefront. All other books of religion, all other books of history are always whitewashing their own mistakes and singing their praise and glory. This is the only book in which the sins of those who believe in the true God are constantly being brought up, in which they themselves are constantly confessing, hey, I'm just a sinner, I messed up so big time. And that is what makes it trustworthy. Anyone always just praising their own praising themselves and never admitting to any possible faults, or even when they do admit to their possible faults, they were like, well, suck it up because I am the Holy One. Yeah, somehow that just doesn't sit right, does it? We all know it. And that's the power of integrity. The power of integrity is admitting when you are not right. The power of integrity is admitting when there's a possibility for a different point of view, not necessarily to contradict your own, but alongside your own. That's what the beauty of delving deep into the Bible is, because the more you delve deep, the more things you see. Like a gem is multifaceted. So when you read one phrase like this one here, Genesis 22:1, it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham. Now, if you can see all the facets included in just that one phrase, I can see 2, maybe 3 here. How many facets can you see to that? The more facets you can see, they don't contradict each other. It's because they are cut and they are positioned in these different ways that the light shines through even better. You see the whole thing from all around. You don't see your own perspective anymore. You see many perspectives. And that's what brings you even closer to God and gives you more compassion for those around you, all the while not making excuses, neither for yourself, neither for their choices. So let's just dive into that, because other Bible verses say that God does not tempt man with evil. So let's have a look at what this actually means. Let's do a little bit of discovery right here that God did tempt. Let's take that word tempt. Interesting, this word is nasa, written nasa. Nasa, it means to prove, to tempt, to assay, to adventure. Well, that's how King James translates it, to try. And practically, if we go and pop over and let's go and have a look at what Gesenius says. To smell, to try by the smell, to try, to suss something out. The primary idea differs from that of another word which I cannot read because I don't know Hebrew yet, which is to try by the touch, as if to prove by a touchstone. To try to prove anyone. For example, the Queen of Sheba came to prove Solomon with hard questions. To examine the wisdom of Solomon, right? God is said to try or prove men by adversity in order to prove their faith. So God does not try you with any evils, but he lets you sit in a situation which is where the meaning you give to that situation is going to make all the difference. Me personally, if someone says to me, hey, come and kill your son to prove how much you love God, I'm just going to be like, no, right? But here God was talking directly with Abraham. And Abraham knew that voice. He heard that voice. He recognized that voice. And so first thing he says is, behold, here I am. To put someone to the test to see, and they say that God's Spirit never gives you less than what you can handle. Oh, God's Spirit. God allows you to be tried as in a burning furnace. It's that God never has an evil intent applied to it. So that's something that we really need to be building our faith in this one fact. When we can build our faith in this one fact, then we won't waver. And even when we waver, we will not be allowed to stumble. So let me just check my notes here. Some interesting things for you to be researching. Land of Moria, which mountain? if you go and dive into that, I'm pretty sure you're going to find some interesting parallels with someone else. And then we've got, that is the other part, was that God always provides the way out to his loyal ones, no matter how hard you are tested, no matter how bad you are being persecuted. If you stay loyal to God, even in your confusion of not understanding, he will make the way out for you. And I know this because it happened to me. I was being bullied at work like crazy. It was an impossible situation. And I had been practically brainwashed, convinced by the leadership, and especially the elderesses of the local Jehovah's Witness community that I had been studying with for quite a while, that I was so far gone that not even God could love me. And yet, one thing, like for me, it's just like, okay, God, you can never love me. And I messed up so big that I will never have everlasting life. That's my bad, and I accept it. I'll accept it. It's like, okay, I messed up so big that it's just, there's no way of redemption left for me. But if that's what you decide what's best for everyone. So I guess all I can do is say praise God and go along with it. And at the same time, at work, where I was being bullied like crazy, if colleagues were going through any kind of trouble, I was comforting them with the Bible. I even wrote to the ownership. I wrote an anonymous letter of condolences, all full of not the Bible references, but it was just linking together Bible verses. And it's not that I chose them, cherry picked them. They just came up for me. And I wrote this long letter to the owner, to the founder of the company, when his mother passed away. Condolences, and saying, hey, you know what? God wants you to know that if you believe in him, you pull out the photos of your mom when she was young and youthful, and you will see her in the resurrection again. So I tried to, but it was anonymous because I didn't want to be seen as a brown noser. And I am positive, 100% positive, that it was precisely because of my attitude about that, my not getting enraged with God for whatever it was I was going through, I wasn't being the best Christian. I was constantly telling my colleagues, yeah, well, if I really was a good Christian, I wouldn't be smoking. If I really was a good Christian, I wouldn't be saying all these swear words, but precisely because I accepted whatever it was that was happening, I am 100% positive that is why God switched the lights back on for me back in 2015 when I was almost dying, and brought me back. It's been a long struggle, and the struggle isn't over yet. Getting my health back, getting my brains back, getting my functionability back. Sometimes it's so hard. Even just sitting here and reading, sometimes I have to trust that I am pronouncing the words right, because I'm still not healed completely. But what it really is that I see God's hand and blessing in providing the way out for me, no matter how difficult the circumstances. If I look back, I can see exactly where that one set of footprints in the sand was God carrying me through. And now I'm getting all emotional. That's just me. Right. So how much are you willing to sacrifice? And how much are you willing to give up to obey God, even when you don't understand why this is happening to you? as something that I believe all of us should ponder deeply and resolve in our hearts what we would do if we would find ourselves in certain situations. We'll talk more about that another time. Move on to Genesis chapter 23. And Sarah was 127 years old when these were the years of the life of Sarah. So she was 127. And Sarah died in Kiryat Arba. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham stood up from before his dead and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us, my Lord. Thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres, this is one of those words. In the choice of our sepulchres, bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulchre, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. And Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the children of Heth. And he communed with them, saying, If it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and entreat for me to Ephron the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he hath, which is in the end of his field. For as much money as it is worth, he shall give it me for a possession of a burying place amongst you. And Ephron dwelt among the children of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Heth, even of all that went in at the gate of his city, saying, Nay, my Lord, hear me. The field give I thee, and the cave that is therein I give it thee. In the presence of the son of my people give I it thee. Bury thy dead. And Abraham bowed down himself before the people of the land. And he spake unto Ephron in the audience of the people of the land, saying, But if thou wilt give it, I pray thee, hear me. I will give thee money for the field. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying unto him, My Lord, hearken unto me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that betwixt me and thee? Bury therefore thy dead. And Abraham hearkened unto Ephron. And Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver, which he had named in the audience of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, current money with the merchant. And the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was therein, and all the trees that were in the field, that were in all the borders round about, were made sure unto Abraham for a possession in the presence of the children of Heth, before all that went in at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah's wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And the field and the cave that is therein were made sure unto Abraham for a possession of a burying place by the sons of Heth. So, I don't know about you personally. I am finding this whole negotiation for the burial place very interesting thing. Just a second, please. Right. I found that a very interesting thing to be exploring more about. What does all of this mean? Like, I used to like just read, gloss over these kind of parts, thinking like, number one, I hate numbers personally. Numbers have had a big problem since I was a child, but now in these last years, especially, I've started giving so much more weight to everything, and so there's questions coming up like, why is this whole story here, right? As we saw also at the end of the previous chapter, all of a sudden we have again a genealogy right there, right? And so here, talking about Ephron, I'm not sure if I remember this correctly. I think Rob Skiba on the virtual house church mentioned that this Ephron was most likely a hybrid, a human-animal hybrid, probably a fawn. Let me just have a look at the meaning of the word here in, I might be remembering, yeah, right, that's it. Strong's, clicked on the name in Strong's. The biblical usage is fawn-like. The Hittite. So let's just check. Of or belonging to a calf. So this person was called Ephron, which means like a fawn. So going back into seeing the whole story of the possibility of the transhumanism and the experiments that we're seeing happening right now in our days. Like they're showing very little. They're showing most of it via the TV series and films and so forth. They're showing a lot of it that way. What is most possibly happening behind closed doors. Anyhow, this is a really touchy subject, very difficult. To me personally, it's like, whoa, this is better than Narnia. This is better than Lord of the Rings. This is like, whoa, everything that I used to see and think about the world when I was a little child, and mom would read those like the Narnia stories to me. It's like, oh my God, this stuff might really exist. And that's like exciting. Exciting and scary at the same time though, because if we think that these were teachings of demons, of the fallen angels, and we think that this is coming back, that this is like as in the days of Noah is coming back, that's kind of scary. Who is it that says, woe unto those who wish for the day of Jehovah, for the last days, because it's going to be a time of darkness and smoke and everything. Yeah, that's pretty much something. But this is something for you to be researching and seeing if there's, like, dive deep and check it out for yourself. And here we're seeing the sons of Het, the same ones who later on will be involved with Esau. And this whole bargaining process. This is something that's kind of interesting. Like on the one hand, Ephron, this fawn-like person, claims to want to give it away for free. But Abraham insists, I'm going to pay for it. And he's like, no, it only costs this much. Who cares? Just bury your dead. Don't worry about it. And everyone's like, no, I'm going to pay you for this. What does that tell us as Christians, as believers, of how we should go about people gifting us stuff? I'm not sure, maybe I said this already the other day. I'm currently in an area where it looks like people are very generous and gifting so much. Not really. All of their gifts come with a huge price tag, which you know nothing about. There are no free gifts. But enough with this chapter, and let's move on into chapter 24. Right. Chapter 24, verse 1. And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and Jehovah had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had, Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by Jehovah, the God of the heaven and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell. But thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. So, just talking about the interminglings of the species. One question that might come up: why would it be that Abraham said this? Like that Abraham's like, no, you don't take anyone from these people. Go and find a wife from my family. Could it be that Abraham's genealogy, like one of Noah, was the only one left pure, with no mixtures, no interminglings, no crossing over between species? Could it be that these generations were still clean, still pure? Who knows? It's something you might want to look into. Genesis 24:5. And the servant said unto him, Peradventure the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land. Must I needs bring thy son again unto the land from whence thou camest? And Abraham said unto him, Beware thou that thou bring not my son thither again. Jehovah, God of heaven, which took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, which spake unto me, and that sware unto me, saying, Unto thy seed will I give this land. He shall send his angel before thee, and thou shalt take a wife unto my son from thence. And if the woman will not be willing to follow thee, then thou shalt be clear from this my oath. Only bring not my son thither again. And the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and sware unto him concerning that matter. And the servant took 10 camels of the camels of his master, and departed, for all the goods of his master were in his hand. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia unto the city of Nahor. And he made his camels to kneel down without the city by a well of water at the time of the evening, even the time that women go out to draw water. And he said, O Jehovah, God of my master Abraham, I pray thee, send me good speed this day, and show kindness unto my master Abraham. Behold, I stand here by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city come out to draw water. And let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, Let down thy pitcher, I pray thee, that I may drink. And she shall say, Drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. Let the same be she that thou hast appointed for thy servant Isaac, and thereby shall I know that thou hast showed kindness unto my master. Walk with the wise, and you will become wise. Here we see Eliezer, who is putting in complete trust in God. And this complete trust in God is like asking God to show him, like to give him a sign, an undeniable sign. When you pray to God, how many times, like about serious matters, how many times do you ask for an undeniable sign? And how complex is that undeniable sign? Sometimes it can be very simple, other times, well, seemingly simple. Other times it's can be more intricate. There have been times where I've prayed one way and pray, like where I've asked for signs. There's also times in which I haven't. And then when you receive the sign, do you believe it? Or do you like reject it? No, that can't be. Sometimes no is the answer. We just don't want to give up on that answer, yes, that we are looking for. Sometimes silence means wait. Sometimes yes means yes if you take action now. If you wait any longer, it's going to become a no. And so we really need to learn to fine-tune our hearing God. And how do we fine-tune that hearing God? We fine-tune it by spending lots of time in Bible study and spending lots of time in prayer. Like prayer from the moment you get up to the moment you go to bed. Like specific chunks of time for prayer is very good. And I must confess that I'm not too on the ball with that. The one thing that I'm more on the ball with is like little prayers here and there. Like while I'm walking someplace, start thinking, oh God, how do I do this? What about that? What about the other? Right? Throughout the day, smaller little prayers. But we want to be specific in our prayers. And when we are looking for a sign, we can give God the meanings to go along with it. It's like, God, if this is from you, this is the kind of blessing I will see. The only trick is that the blessing has got to be in alignment with God's word, in alignment with it and not out of selfish motive. So moving forward, Genesis 24:15. Oh, please, before I do move forward, please do comment and share and give ideas for, or share your personal experience with your specific prayers, how they were answered, or how they were rejected sometimes. That's very interesting sometimes to find. So Genesis 24:15. And it came to pass before he had done speaking that behold, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, and Abraham's brother, with her pitcher upon her shoulder. And the damsel was very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her. And she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, Let me, I pray thee, drink a little water of thy pitcher. And she said, Drink, my lord. And she hastened and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink. And when she had done giving him milk, she said, I will draw water for thy camels also until they have done drinking. And she hastened and emptied her pitcher into the trough and ran again unto the well to draw water and drew for all his camels. Now, how many camels did he have? 10 camels. How much can a camel drink? Ooh, that's something you really want to research, especially for us who nowadays we find it difficult. Even sometimes we've grown so lazy. Sometimes we find it difficult to walk to the store to get something to drink. Right? Think about how much work this girl put in there. Genesis 24:21. And the man wondering at her held his peace, to wit whether the Lord had made his journey prosperous or not. And it came to pass, as the camels had done drinking, that the man took a golden earring of half a shekel weight and 2 bracelets for her hands of 10 shekels weight of gold, and said, Whose daughter art thou? Tell me, I pray thee. Is there room in thy father's house for us to lodge in? And she said unto him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, which she bare unto Nahor. She said, moreover unto him, We have both straw and provender enough and room to lodge in. And the man bowed down his head and worshipped Jehovah. And he said, Blessed be Jehovah, God of my master Abraham, who hath not left destitute my master of his mercy and his truth. I, being in the way, Jehovah led me to the house of my master's brethren. And the damsel ran and told them of her mother's house these things. And Rebekah had a brother, and his name was Laban. And Laban ran out unto the men unto the well. And it came to pass, when he saw the earring and bracelets upon his sister's hands, and when he heard the words of Rebekah his sister, saying, Thus spake the man unto me, that he came unto the man, and behold, he stood by the camels at the well. And he said, Come in, thou blessed of Jehovah. Wherefore standest thou without? For I have prepared the house and room for the camels. And the man came into the house, and he ungirded his camels, and gave straw and provender for the camels, and water to wash his feet, and the men's feet that were with him. And there was set meat before him to eat, but he said, I will not eat until I have told mine errand. And he said, Speak on. And he said, I am Abraham's servant, and Jehovah hath blessed my master greatly, and he is become great, and he hath given him flocks and herds and silver and gold and men servants and maid servants and camels and asses. And Sarah, my master's wife, bare a son to my master when she was old, and unto him hath he given all that he hath. And my master made me swear again, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife to my son of the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I dwell, but thou shalt go unto my father's house and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son. And I said to my master, Peradventure the woman will not follow me. And he said unto me, Jehovah, before whom I walk, will send his angel with thee, and prosper thy way. And thou shalt take a wife for my son of my kindred and of my father's house. Then shalt thou be clear from this my oath, when thou comest to my kindred. And if they give not thee one, thou shalt be clear from my oath. And I came this day unto the well, and said, O Jehovah, God of my master Abraham, if now thou do prosper my way which I go, behold, I stand at the well of water, and it shall come to pass that when the virgin cometh forth to draw water, and I say to her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water of thy pitcher to drink, and she say to me, Both drink thou, and I will also draw for thy camels, let the same be the woman whom Jehovah hath appointed out for my master's son. And before I had done speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came forth with her pitcher on her shoulder. And she went down unto the well and drew water. And I said unto her, Let me drink, I pray thee. And she made haste and let down her pitcher from her shoulder and said, Drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. So I drank, and she made the camels drink also. And I asked her and said, Whose daughter art thou? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, Naar's son, whom Milcah bare unto him. And I put the earring upon her face and the bracelets upon her hands. And I bowed down my head and worshipped Jehovah and blessed Jehovah, God of my master Abraham, which had led me in the right way to take my master's brother's daughter unto his son. And now, if ye will deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, The thing proceedeth from Jehovah. We cannot speak unto thee bad or good. Behold, Rebekah is before thee. Take her and go, and let her be thy master's son's wife, as Jehovah hath spoken. And it came to pass that when Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshipped Jehovah, bowing himself to the earth. And the servants brought forth jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment, and gave them to Rebekah. He gave also to her brother and to her mother precious things. And they did eat and drink, and he and the men that were with him, and tarried all night. And they rose up in the morning, and he said, send me away unto my master. And her brother and her mother said, let the damsel abide with us a few days, at least 10. After that she shall go. And he said unto them, hinder me not, seeing Jehovah hath prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, we will call the damsel and inquire at her mouth. And they called Rebekah and said unto her, wilt thou go with this man? And she said, I will go. And they sent away Rebekah their sister and her nurse and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebekah and said unto her, thou art our sister, be thou the mother of thousands of millions, and let thy seeds possess the gate of those which hate them. And Rebekah arose and her damsels, and they rode upon the camels and followed the man. And the servant took Rebekah and went his way. So let's just pause here for a second and go back and look at this whole situation that plays out. I had never really noticed this before, and I think it was listening to Jim Staley, Passion for Truth, that I first realized some subtleties going on in here. Well, he explains them way better than I will, for sure. Practically, if we go and we look at number one, that one thing that I'm always just like looking at is like every time it says woman, replace the word woman with church, and whoa, there's just it takes on such a different meaning. So the servant prayed for good qualities in verses 10 to 14. And I had not noticed, like, Rebekah's disposition is definitely generous, hospitable, ready to serve, ready to help, right? Whereas her brother Laban, if we go and we look at verses 28 to 33, we see how Laban's disposition is very materialistic. It's very, what can I get out of this oriented? And I had not noticed the subtlety here. And this teaches us to be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. The order of the happenings. Laban prays to meet a person according to God's heart. When he meets her, first he gives her the gold, and then he inquires who she is. And that's where he finds out, only after he has given her the rings and the bracelets, does he find out that she is indeed from the family that Abraham had sent him to. First thing Laban thinks about is, oh, wow, this man has lots of money, lots of animals, lots of camels, they're rich. So he notices Laban's disposition. You're going to have to go and look this up again yourselves. Like, that's what a Berean student does. You go and you don't take for granted what anyone says. You go and look it up for yourself, and you don't look it up for yourself superficially. You look it up for yourself, going deeper and deeper and deeper. Right? Choice is yours. What stood out to me is that, okay, apparently it would seem that Laban says, oh, I've prepared the place, but he does not provide the water to wash Eliezer or the other men that are with him. He does not provide them this, like they have to do their taking care of themselves in this house. on their own. So he is not nearly as hospitable as he's wanting to come across. It's like you invite someone to your house and you say, hey, come to lunch at my place. And then you have them do the cooking, right? So it's kind of like, how much? Now, if they insist on doing the cooking, it's one thing. But like if I invite you to my place and then I have you do all the cooking and serve me, how much hospitality is that really, right? So that's one thing which is interesting. You're going to have to go and delve deep on that one yourself, though. And the way that Eliezer tells the happenings, he tells all of the happenings, but he says he's realized the mentality of Laban, which is different from that of Rebekah. He sees that this man is not nearly as spiritual and as believing in God as he wants to make out with all of his praising. And he just twists the story ever so slightly. He says, when she told me that she was your sister, that's when I gave her the gold. So it's like exalting Laban in his vain self-glory, right? Without making him feel, without lying about what's actually going on. And so that teaches me that, and I hope it teaches everyone that sees this, that gets it, how important it is to deliver the message on the basis of the person that you are confronted with, so that you can keep things peaceable without stepping on their toes. Personally, so far, I've always been a truther and very blunt one at that. So inadvertently, we offend people lots of times, but like just learning to be more discerning and to be delivering the story in such a way that people don't get offended by it. Then, of course, you cannot help but to offend certain people. Sometimes there's just no way around it. They're looking for excuses to be offended, and that's a completely different story. And what about the opportunism of this family? Like first they say, yeah, sure, take her. And then the next day they're like, no, but let her stay here. And this is what I just love. Rebecca was practically being put in the very hard situation of showing loyalty to her family of origin or showing loyalty to her new master who was going to be her husband, Isaac. If she was loyal to the family, like they were they wanted her to stay longer. They did not want to send her away earlier, but they did not want to be the ones to say it out loud. So they were practically kind of trying to leverage their position to make her be the one to say, no, I'm gonna just wait. I'm gonna go with God later. Reminds me of Jesus calling out to the people, come and follow me. And they say, oh, let me first bury my parents. Oh, let me first take care of my business. And she is incorruptible. She will not be corrupted. She will not be emotionally blackmailed. The promise was, yes, we will go immediately. So she gets up and she goes immediately. She leaves family, land, brother, mother, sisters, everything behind to go to her new master, Isaac. And that is something that personally I have to keep reminding myself, am I ready? Am I willing to take such a big leap of faith and go after something that is completely out in the unknown? Something that is completely out in the unknown, and trust that all will be well, because God is the one sending me. God is going to be with me in all of that. So very last verses, Genesis 24:62. And Isaac came from the way of the well of Laharai, for he dwelt in the south country. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the eventide, and he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she lighted off the camel. Let me just check one thing, because someone said that this word here, lighted off, the word is nafal, which means she fell off the camel. Well, that's kind of interesting. She saw him and she didn't get down from the camel. She fell off the camel. Now, that's kind of funny. It's also something to be looking into. Oh gosh. What could the parallel be? That when we finally see God, we're going to fall off whatever high horse we're on? Well, most probably. Right, so Genesis 24:65. For she had said unto the servant, what man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, it is my master. Therefore, she took a veil and covered herself. The veil. All them women who get angry when the Bible says that a woman should cover herself. I'm not covering myself right now. Maybe I should start doing that. I'll find a good veil for that. We'll see. Right. So, and the servant told Isaac all things that he had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife. And he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So that's a lot of stuff. We've only touched on a couple of topics. Once again, if you are listening in, if you're watching the videos, I still haven't uploaded in many. I think I've uploaded 2 until now. If you're, but they're not public yet. Oops, my bad. Right. So if you're listening in, you're very welcome to join the live sessions. Very welcome to volunteer, to read, to talk, to give a viewpoint, to share, to commune, and to just build each other's faith up. Share your personal story, comment, leave the comments, suggest other things to be doing, volunteer to be part of this little team of creating. For now it's a team of 1. I'm looking for more people to be continuing these Bible studies. This is a daily Bible study, reading the whole Bible through from Genesis to Revelation. Then there's going to be more Bible studies, deep dives, as I manage to organize myself. And if you have anything interesting to be talking about, to be bringing up, that would be great. So that's all for now from Italy, and we will talk soon. Ciao, ciao.